So unfortunately for me, the MCU has been on a steep decline. Is this Marvel getting back on track? Let's find out. Hello guys, and welcome back to the channel. Right, before we get into whether Ryan Reynolds is the Jesus Marvel Messiah, self-acclaimed prophet, let's tee this thing up. Marvel just hasn't really been doing it for me. Even when we talk about No Way Home, a lot of that is to do with nostalgia. When it comes to Tobey Maguire, I loved him. I went to see Spider-Man in 2002 with my dad. It was one of them situations, total epiphany. On the way home, Dad, can I have a Spider-Man costume, please? No, son. Why not, Dad? I want to go and fight the streets of crime in Bishop Auckland. Yeah, that didn't pan out very well. As far as the Deadpool movies go, I think they're perfectly fine. The first one is a pure passion project, so you've got to appreciate it. Ryan Reynolds leaked that footage. Now, who knows who leaked the footage, but the footage got leaked. Then Deadpool was obviously made. Total passion project. You can tell a lot of love was put into that film because Ryan Reynolds was deeply passionate about the character. The whole Hannibal King thing in Blade Trinity, come on, that is just Deadpool without the get-up, man. As far as Deadpool 2 goes, not great. I actually think the jokes, even for the time when that come out, were pretty dated. The whole dubstep thing, get it the hell out of here. Then we have Cable, who I think was totally miscast with Josh Brolin. Yeah, it's a funny gag having Thanos as Cable as well, but nah, man. Especially when you got the likes of Stephen Lang. We inevitably arrive at Deadpool and Wolverine. It was always going to happen. These characters were always going to get together somehow. He had a pretty good send-off in Logan, but let's get him back. It works for the most part. It definitely does. This is a good movie. I've got a slew of issues, but it's good for the most part. Is this getting the MCU back on track? Personally, no, I don't think it is. Financially, yeah, it will, but this multiverse stuff, man. Anyway, before any of that, let's get into some of my pros. Hugh Jackman is officially goated. Yeah, I know he was before, but my God, you know, we've been seeing this character on screen for over 25 years now, or nearly 25 years now, and the fact that we're still seeing new things from him blows my mind. It makes a lot of sense. We have now moved over from Fox to Disney. We might have a bit of extra cash in the back. We're seeing some incredible comic book accurate shit when it comes to Hugh Jackman and Wolverine here. The costume, we got to mention it. The yellow and blue. Thank God we finally see it, man. Yeah, I get it. The black leathers back in the day of the old X-Men movies, but my God, this just looked incredible. Ryan Reynolds' comedy can be a bit hit or miss for me sometimes. And Ryan Reynolds truly goes maximum effort in this one. Yes, so if you're not a fan of Ryan Reynolds' shtick, this film definitely won't be for you because it's from start to finish. Don't get me wrong, this is a genuinely funny movie. The comedy is one of my pros to this film, but the thing is, with that, it comes with a little bit of a caveat. A lot of the jokes in this film are very, like, Hollywood inside baseball sort of type stuff. I'm not sure whether that'll go over the general audience's head. Someone like my brother, he's not into this stuff, so he doesn't know about studios or whatever. This comedy might go over someone like his head a little bit. In my theatre there, everyone was laughing, so I might be off on that one. The needle drops. Awesome. Just like Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2, you've got these out of left field choices that don't suit the movie, but somehow do in a weird way as well. One thing I've got to mention that I didn't think I was going to mention coming out of a Deadpool and Wolverine movie was I actually loved the original music that they had in here. So Deadpool's got like a new theme that like comes in and out of the film now and then. I loved it, man. I did really appreciate that new touch added here. The fight scenes, mostly good. The first half of the film, there's a couple that are brilliant. The last section of the film, brilliant. Unfortunately, there's this middle section that should be amazing, but it simply isn't because for some reason, they've used Deadpool's time travel device from Deadpool 2, went back to the early aughts, knocked the doors down of Jason Bourne and said, we need your camera guy to come shoot this action scene. And got the, okay, no worries, boom.
Jesus Christ. That's Jason Bourne.
Why is Shaky Cam making an appearance again in 2024? This isn't the first film to do it this year. It's having a comeback. Can we please stop? Cameos. So yes, you will want to know about the cameos. My lips are sealed. All I'll say is my jaw dropped on the floor at one particular person. You know, before Multiverse of Madness, I personally had all these preconceived thoughts about who we might see, and it was a total letdown. This is like the polar opposite to that. I'll leave it there. Right, guys, I have got a few problems with this film. The story. So this leads into also the multiverse aspect. Don't worry, I'm not going to spoil anything, but we are aware that this is dealing with the multiverse in this film. Now, I can safely say, after watching this film, I'm done with the multiverse. It's definitely having an effect of my enjoyment of MCU of late. I think all it is really, at the end of the day, is a mechanism to add more cameos. And I think the MCU has had an over-reliance on cameos of late, and I don't think we're going to be getting out of that anytime soon. The multiverse may very well work on paper. I've read a few stories with it, and don't get me wrong, they're fun when they're on page. In the movies, it's not translating well for me at all. There is a number of exposition dumps in this film. I would say 75% of this film is people moving from scene to scene and just explaining what's happening in the plot at the time. And even after the exposition dumps, I'm still a bit confused. So yeah, the multiverse aspect, which may or may not be really down to Deadpool, it's an overarching story beat that's happening within the MCU at the moment. I'm just not digging it at all. This film has a bit of a weak villain. Not gonna lie, folks. Don't get me wrong, the actor playing this villain, they are doing a good job with what they're being given. I would say she's got a more interesting background than what actually happens in the film. I will say though, her powers are definitely a bit freaky. Wasn't sort of expecting that, to be honest. For a film as big as what it is, it also feels a little bit smaller than I was expecting. I don't think this is a problem with the film. This is more on me. But if you're in our sort of circle where we're into this stuff and it's always on our phones, whatnot, a lot like Joker in 2019, we saw an awful lot of that film before it was released. People taking photos of the set, videos of the set, whatnot. The same thing happened with Deadpool and Wolverine. And unfortunately, we spend a large amount of the movie at this place, and I just think it's a visually boring, bland place. Would have loved more Logan, if I'm being honest, and that sounds a bit silly. Like, he is in the film for a long time, folks. All I'm saying is I would have maybe liked a little bit more dialogue with Logan. My favourite part of this film, it's a dialogue scene from Logan. When I heard this dialogue scene, it sort of snapped me into the movie, because before that, I was a bit all over the place. And when he said this bit of dialogue, it was heartwarming, which is another thing this film does have. It does have heart. And the tender, heartfelt moments are the best things about this film. The comedy is great. It just goes on for an awful long time, and your mileage is definitely going to vary with that stuff. So yeah, it isn't a slam dunk for me. Is this a step in the right direction? But for me personally, I'm a little bit checked out of the MCU. I thought this might have got me back on board, and it really hasn't. Don't get me wrong, it was great seeing Deadpool and Wolverine together. There is that chemistry there. I'm just a bit afraid for where Marvel, MCU, Disney is going, if I'm being honest. For me, this is a 3.5 stars out of 5. I definitely need to see it again. It won't be in the theatre. It'll be at home. I would say this is like maybe on par with the first Deadpool movie. Definitely doesn't reach the heights of X2 for me or Days of Future Past. Maybe even the first X-Men. It's a good time. The majority of folks are going to love this. I'm sure everyone who was looking forward to this movie before it, going to go and watch it, have an excellent time with it. Just for me, I'm a little bit so-so on this one. Can't lie. Definitely head back to the channel later on in the week for the spoiler discussion that I'll release. Obviously, lots to talk about in this film, lots of cameos to get into. So yeah, join us back for that one, guys. But thank you for watching. Peace out. See you next time.